think everyone knows. I think everyone knows me. I'm Bob Ryan. I'm Director of Public Services for the city. Tonight's special program was recommended by Mayor Kabir, and special request to Major Coletti to come in and review with us some crime prevention tips, particularly focused around the holidays and the current experience of crime throughout the city that we've seen. And so we'll turn over the meeting to the mayor. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, staff, for putting this together within a very short period of time. And thank you, everyone who joined. Um, yeah, I know the holidays approaching, and actually we're in the holiday season, and during this time of the year when the days get shorter and after dark, people we often experience a rise in crime incidents. And we want to make everyone feel safe during this time of the year, especially. So that is one of the main reasons why we are having this meeting, but also we'll be discussing some of the concerns community has in relation to what happened fairly recently. A number of cars being vandalized especially in the North College Park, in the Hollywood areas and other neighborhoods as well. And I'm very thankful, Bob and Major Clarity. They are on top of it, and they have some information to share with you, and take your questions as well. How can move forward and as a community and make you feel all safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Major Coletti. It's your program. Thank you.
Sure. So based on the concerns of a handful of residents regarding feeling unsafe in the Hollywood community, and most of the crimes that are being committed are crimes of opportunity, and they usually involve your vehicle. So tonight we're going to discuss some of the tips that you can do to try to prevent some of these crimes from occurring in the first place. So we're going to talk about theft from auto and some prevention tips that everyone can do. I'd like to recommend to everyone, please park in a well-lit area. You want to park where you know where there's surveillance cameras. And the reason I talk about surveillance cameras, I think every homeowner should have a surveillance camera at their residence. The prices have gone way down. There's a lot of different options out there. And a lot of times the videos that we recover for evidence can help our cases in court. I know most of the people online haven't been to court, probably in a very long time. But I'll tell you, people who sit on juries today, if they don't see it, it didn't happen. So this is why police officers now have body-worn cameras. People want to see footage. And this is what I recommend, is that everyone should have some type of security camera system, and it should be able to record. And that's all I'm going to say regarding that matter. One of the things I see all the time is residents or just victims leave property in plain view. You have to take your valuables out of your vehicle. If you're a construction person and you have a van or a work truck, and I know a lot of residents don't have driveways, but if you do have a driveway in Hollywood, park it in the driveway. Make sure there's a spotlight on that vehicle. Make sure there's a camera on the vehicle. I think one of the things I recommend is that everyone should install a security system or a visible anti-theft device on your vehicles, right? A lot of these devices can be motion sensitive. Somebody gets into your vehicle and starts moving it around, it sets off the alarm. You can place theft deterrent stickers indicating that your vehicle is equipped with an alarm system. A lot of times people will go to the next vehicle when they see that sticker. You can install a dummy alarm flashing light. A lot of times you see them in cars, they're blinking red or green or whatever color on the windshields. This is something else everybody could do. In the brochure, we talk about installing tent windows. You just got to remember the tent that you use has to be, it has to be has to be light compared to what the state standards are. And I think it's 30%. I think it can only be 30% dark under Maryland law. So that's something else you can do. It makes it harder for people to see inside your vehicle. I'll just throw this out there. We all know that they have air tags now. It might be if everybody can put yourself on mute, it might help out so we don't get all the noise feedback, please. Everybody should be on mute, please. So we all know that Apple has this product called AirTags. Everybody should throw an AirTag in their vehicle. If that vehicle is stolen, yes, anybody with an Apple phone will know that there's an AirTag around them, but that might give us enough of time for us to catch up to that vehicle and apprehend the suspects. It's just another thing that's out there, another great piece of equipment that we can use or that the victims or the citizens out there can use. You may be considering installing a motion sensor dash camera. It alerts and captures footage when someone is near your vehicle. I think I talked about that earlier. So I'm quickly going to talk about Cadillac converter thefts. They have slowed down recently over the last couple months. We haven't been getting hit as hard as we were earlier in the year. But once again, when you're talking about the converter thefts, always park in a well-lit area. And also you want to try to park where there's some type of surveillance camera that's going to record your vehicle. You can look at any shopping center and pick out where the cameras are and try to park near one of those cameras. And like I talked earlier, I suggest that everyone has a camera at their residence. One of the biggest problems we have is that when we catch somebody with 20 or 30 Cadillac converters in their vehicle that they just stole off vehicles, there's no way for us to identify where the Cadillac converters came from. So what I ask is that everybody etch their Maryland Soundex number onto the converter. We've known that some people have painted them with the paint that's for high heat, but my recommendation is put your Soundex number that's on your license, etch it into your Cadillac converter. It definitely will help us out. And there's on the market now, there's various anti-theft devices for the converters, different type of steel shields, cables, cages. You can research all this on Google, and you're going to have some type of mechanic install it for you. And once again, I always talk about the motion sensors in your vehicles, that when it recognizes that the vehicle's being moved, it sets off the alarm. And I'll open it up for discussion as soon as I read through a couple of these. Tire and rim thefts, that's still an issue. We're not seeing a large increase as we did in the beginning of the year. It's definitely slowed down. But a couple things we can do. Once again, please park in a well-lit area, well-populated area, or once again, near a surveillance camera. This is one of the things, is probably the best thing you can do. You want to park your vehicle with the wheels sharply turned into the curb. And the reason why I tell people this, it makes it very difficult for the suspects to try to jack that vehicle up and be able to get in there with a wrench and take those lug nuts off. Because they want to get 4 tires. They want a set of tires. And when you turn your wheels, it makes it hard for somebody to take the tires off. So please remember that. Another good suggestion is always try to park as close to the curb and uphill. If you park real close to the curb, it makes it hard for them to get those tires off the vehicle. So just remember that. Turn your wheels into the curb or park as closely as possible to that curb to make it difficult for them, and they will go to another vehicle. They want to be able to get these tires off within a minute to 2 minutes and get out of the area. So if it's hard for them, they'll go to another vehicle. You can also use a metal plate wheel locks that completely cover the lug nuts. I don't know many people that do that, but it's an option that's out there. And you can also use wheel locking nuts that you got to have a special key to take your vehicle off. And with that being said, most people leave that key in their glove box. So if they break into your car, they're going to find that key and take your tires anyway. So think of a good spot that you can put that key that you'll remember if you have a flat tire, but you don't want to put it in the glove box or your center console. Think of another location that you could put it. One thing that you can do if you want to protect your airbags is you can put a steering wheel lock system in the steering wheel, and that prevents them being able to take the airbag out. Some suspects have cut the steering wheels themselves to get the wheel lock off, but what you were trying to do is slow them down and make them go to the next car. So it's Christmas time. Robberies up, thefts are up. Everybody wants to make a little extra cash for the holidays. I just want to caution everybody when you're getting gas, some of the things you might want to consider doing so you don't become a victim at a gas station. So normally it's always safer to fuel your gas during the daytime when there's a lot of people around and it's daylight, it's not dark. And I will say this, video cameras for the most part work a whole lot better during the daytime than they do at night. It also depends on the type of a camera that you have. So I recommend go during the daytime if you want to get gas. Just remember, turn your vehicle off, remove the keys and valuables from plain view. Ladies, don't leave your purse on the front seat. Don't leave the doors unlocked. I'm sure we all seen on the news where another car will pull up next to you while you're pumping gas. They'll open up your door and take your purse, and you don't even realize it while you're standing there pumping gas looking the opposite way. So these are a couple of things you can do at a gas station. You always got to be aware of your surroundings. There's just a lot of people out there. They just want to make some money for the holidays, and they're going to take advantage of any situation they can put themselves into. So another thing is, even if your vehicle is secure and you're going to run and get a cup of coffee, listen, never leave your children unattended while inside the vehicle. They'll steal the car with your child, your infant in the car. And it's, take your children with you at all times, please. Don't think it's never going to happen to you. It will happen. And another thing is, we always talk about fraud, skimmers on ATM machines or on a gas pump. Look at the device that you're putting your credit card in. Does it look like it's professionally installed? Is it loose? These are some keys that somebody put a skimmer onto the credit card device that attaches to the gas pump. we'll just go over, and everybody can read this. I'll go over pretty quickly. We'll talk about some auto theft prevention tips. Don't leave a spare key inside or near your vehicle. If possible, park your vehicle inside a secure garage. Install motion activated lights outside your home. Install video surveillance cameras. Never leave your vehicle running, especially while unattended or unlocked. Consider installing a remote start system to warm up your vehicle during colder months. Consider installing a GPS tracking device. If your vehicle is stolen, the tracking device will emit a signal to us, the police, and will give us the location of your vehicle. Always use a wheeling lock to make it impossible to steer. Consider additional security measures by installing a vehicle immobilizer system, a kill switch that prevents your vehicle from being started. So you would have to turn that switch on and off. They're actually pretty good if you put them in an area where people don't know where they're at. Protect your key fobs with a Faraday bag system used to promote singles. So it basically blocks out the singles from your remote. It's basically for vehicles that have the keyless systems, the newer vehicles. Once again, we talked about it earlier, turn your wheel sharply to the curb, park as closely to the curb as possible. You know, a lot of vehicles are stolen by tow trucks. And when your wheels are turned, it makes it very difficult for the tow truck to get in there. Does everybody know their make and model of their vehicle and the tag number? It's amazing how many people have their cars stolen and they don't know their tag number. They may not know their model number or the model of their vehicle. They know the make usually. Like, hey, I got a Ford. Sometimes people don't even know what type of Ford they have. So it's just something that you just want to try to remember. Maybe put the tag number in your phone. Hopefully they don't steal the phone with the car, but something that you can get out to when you're reporting your car stolen. If you give out that correct number right away, the dispatchers put that over the radio, and also responding to the scene might see that vehicle, and we're going to be able to apprehend the suspects. Just a little tidbit of information out there. I think we all know this. I don't have to really go into it. It only takes somebody seconds to steal your car. These guys do it for a living. They do hundreds of them, and they're very quick at it. If you can steal 4 tires in less than 2 minutes, they can steal a car in less than 2 minutes. Does everybody understand the Maryland Watch Your Car program? I'll briefly go over it. It's a voluntary, free of charge public service program to the owners of vehicles registered in Maryland that is designed to deter auto theft and assist the apprehension of auto thieves. So this is how it works. After you registered for the program, the owners of the vehicles will be provided with 2 window decals to be placed on the front and the back windows. By doing this, you're giving a police officer permission to stop your vehicle without probable cause between the hours of 1 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock. And they have the ability then to verify if the person driving the vehicle is authorized to have that vehicle. So that's how the program works. If you're interested, we can get you signed up for it. But it gives a law enforcement officer the ability to stop that vehicle without probable cause for a crime or a traffic violation between the hours of 1 and 5. I'm not going to go into all the carjacking tips. We talked a lot about them. You have to trust your instincts. You have to be alert. Know your surroundings. If you feel uncomfortable, get out of the area. Right? Where the thieves or the suspects like to target are ATM machines. They will bum rush you. You're not going to have time to think. They're going to pull up right on top of you and jump out of the car. Gas stations. We've seen some on the highways, on the exit and entry ramps. Believe it or not, the shooting that we had in Mount Rainier 2 weeks ago, the individual was shot while he was parking or getting out of his vehicle in the parking lot of his apartment complex. So, yes, they can get you at your driveway. They can get you in a parking lot. And what they do is, when they want to target whatever vehicle they want to get, they will follow you till you get to a location like your driveway or a parking lot, gas station. You go into the ATM machine, and that's when they're going to take advantage of you. They're going to pull up very quickly. They're going to be armed, and they're going to demand your vehicle. So one thing I want to stress to everyone, if you are a victim of a armed carjacking, let them have your vehicle. You can always get a new vehicle, but you can't get a new life. Or I would never want to see anybody get shot or injured because they want to try to fight the suspects. And the next thing you know, you're paralyzed for life. That's no quality of life. So if you are a victim, the best thing you can do is let them take whatever they want. But I want you to be the best victim I want you to be the best witness possible. Look at them. Try to visualize what they look like in your mind. Do they have any unique clothing? Are they wearing some type of sneakers that you've never seen before? What colors are they? How tall are they? How much do they weigh? Hey, could you see their eyes? What color eyes do they have? Are they missing teeth? They got any tattoos? I want you to be the best witness possible. Let them have whatever they're demanding. I'm sorry. Yeah, I want you to be the best witness possible. Let them take whatever they want, but I want you to be able to identify them. And what happens in court, I'll throw this out there. If we arrest somebody, a lot of times those cases will be dismissed because you, the victim, cannot identify that person as the person that had a handgun and demanded your vehicle. I will just go over some burglary prevention tips. Some of the things I've learned over the last 41 years is, does everybody have numbers that are visible on their house indicating their house number? What makes it very difficult for us when we're responding to a call for service, we have these big spotlights and we're trying to determine where your address is. And sometimes you'll have 3 or 4 houses that have no house numbers on them, or they'll put them in an area where most people can't see them. So make sure you have your numbers for your house clearly visible so we can see them. Once again, we talked about it for all the theft from autos, stolen vehicles. I truly recommend a video surveillance system at your residence. I think it's just the way to go. I think it's just, the times are here, and I think everyone should have at least one, if not more. Floodlights, all these floodlights now have sensors on them. It's not like the light's going to stay on all night long. Have floodlights. Have motion detected floodlights. Somebody walks up on your front porch at 3 o'clock in the morning, your floodlights turn on. If you had a camera system, that's even better for the camera system because there's more light. So something just to think about. Of course, you can always have an alarm system at your house. Here's one of the things you can do to prevent somebody from kicking in your door. Always utilize a 3.5-inch screw, and you want to install it into the strike plate and your door hinges. Because if you look at a lot of people who have screws on their doors, I can guarantee those screws are only 1 inch or 1.5 inches. Anybody can kick that door wide open. I want you to put in 3.5-inch screws, and that's good. They're going to go into your 2x4, which is your framing around your door, which is going to secure that door. And it's going to make it very difficult for somebody to kick it in. So it's something that you can do. You know, if you're going to be away, or even if you're at home, always consider using blinds or drapes to prevent people from looking into your house, seeing how big of a TV you have. I can't tell you how many times I drive around a neighborhood and I see people with 52-inch TVs in their living room. They're watching a football game and I can see clearly into the house. That just tells me that, hey, maybe I'll come back when everybody goes to work. So just something you can think about. It's up to you. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not. But people do drive around and they look for things that they can steal at a later time. So some of the things for if anybody lives alone, you don't want to tell anybody who knocks on your door that you're there by yourself. One of the things you can do is call out to another person, make up a name, call your wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, son, daughter, make it seem like somebody else is in the house. You can always tell somebody like, hey, John, go put the dog away. Somebody's at the front door. Let them know this if you are at home alone, but something you can do to let them think that somebody else is there. And just remember, just because somebody knocks at your door, you don't have to open your door. You can tell them you're not interested or just don't open the door at all. So don't get into the mindset that somebody's knocking at my door means I have to answer it. If you're not expecting anybody and you look at the window and that person's not familiar to you, you don't have to answer your door. So just remember that. In the years prior, people have thought it necessary to open the door and then they become victims of crimes. And I always wonder, like, why, if you didn't know the person, why did you open the door? Were you expecting somebody? Even a solicitor, you don't have to open your door for them. When I'm home and a solicitor comes to my house, I let them knock on my door. They're just wasting their time. I'm not going to open my door. I don't have time to be bothered with that. So just remember, you don't have to answer your doors. Some things, just going over some things real quickly, is if you're going out of town, let your neighbors know, let a relative know, stop the mail, stop the newspapers, put in light timers. They go on and off different times in the during the evening hours and the daytime and in the late hours. You can have a timer come on at 3 o'clock in the morning for 20 minutes to make it appear that you're going to the bathroom or something to that effect. You can put a timer on a radio and turn it up a little bit so it appears that somebody's inside the house, whether they're listening to the radio or a TV station. So these are some of the things you can do when you're home to try to prevent either some burglaries while you're away or some type of crime while you're home. And like I said, if you go out of town, you have to stop your mail. You have to stop your newspapers. It just you want to make the house look like somebody's there all the time. I'm not going to go into Operation Identify ID. So all that is that you mark all your valuables with your mail and Soundex number. So what I do want to just go over real quickly, and this is going to be the last subject I touch, is package thefts. You know, everybody's ordering items online, they get shipped to your house. So here's just a couple prevention tips you can do for the package thefts. If possible, pick up the order item at a store. You can have them keep it. You have them shipped to like a FedEx facility, a UPS facility, to your work or to your office. Just some things you can do. You should know when your packages are coming. Everything is electronic today. You get an email that your package is shipped or should be arriving. So you should know when the packages are coming. And if you're not home, have a neighbor go by, pick it up, or a relative. You just don't want the package sitting there for, 5-6 hours. Once again, the cameras, that's good for a lot of crimes. I'm a big, I definitely believe in the cameras, trust me. We talked about you can have it shipped to, Amazon, Locker, UPS office, FedEx, post office. You also can consider a porch lock box with padlocks for delivery. Drivers place the packages until you return home. Somewhat of a larger box, like a mailbox that you use to mail letters to the post office or through the post office. I think we basically talked about everything else. So listen, I've talked for 40 minutes. And I think it's time now to open up questions, and I'd like to hear what other people are talking about. So I don't know, Sharon or Bob, if you can identify anybody that has a question, I'll be more than willing to answer it. And I'm going to take the screen down.
Sure, Sharon's at the control panel, so Sharon, how would you like to take questions?
Let's have hands raised either on video or in the chat box, please. We've had a couple of questions in the chat as well. Concerning cost of cameras, but I see Ms. Keeler. Ms. Keeler, would you like to go ahead, please?
Hi, if this is not the place to get this question answered, I understand, but I have a specific question. About a week ago, I live on 36th Avenue in Crystal Springs, and there was that's what I'm asking, like what's an update on that incident there? There were like 10 police cars around midnight on my street, and I think it was somebody was walking, and then somebody got out of a car with a ski mask on and stole their things maybe, but I really don't know. And I'm just asking for an update and about that. And
Sure. So there's a student that went to University of Maryland. She was walking home. Suspect approached her, demanded her belongings. I believe they displayed a handgun.
yeah,
They took her belongings and they fled the area. We're still investigating the incident, but we have no leads. All right.
were they in a car?
I can tell you right now, on one Friday, I had 9 armed robberies.
Yeah,
On Friday.
I know.
So I can't remember every crime.
No, I understand.
But if you give me 1 minute, I have that report on my desk.
Okay. Because I've lived here 27 years and we've never had,
Where is Crystal Springs? Where do you live?
it's the 5 numbered streets on Metzerat. before College Park Woods, between University and Adelphi.
Okay,
It's like right past the Jehovah Witness, the Kingdom Hall there.
thanks.
And it's basically off-campus housing for Maryland. Like, there's just a few of us on my street that still own houses, you know, and live there.
Thanks.
Major, would you like to take another question while you're looking, or should we wait?
No, I can't do two things at the same time, so.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I can follow up with the city.
No, it only take me a minute.
Oh,
I can pull it up real quick.
okay.
So it occurred at 11:25 at night,
Mhm,
getting close to that midnight hour, which
mhm,
I recommend people not to be outside.
mhm.
That's the time that it occurred. The suspect was driving a dark color SUV. We don't have any tag numbers. I'll tell you this right now. He described as a black male wearing a ski mask. He had dark clothing. He was skinny built and he was armed with a handgun.
Okay.
So I hope that helps you out with the information that
Mhm.
you asked.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're more than welcome. And I just want to go back and I always tell people, you have a right to do whatever you want during whatever hour of the night. Usually, a lot of times, bad things happen as it gets later in the night. I'm not saying that this victim, and she is a victim, did anything wrong. She
Mhm.
didn't deserve this.
Right.
But you may want to not be walking out at nighttime.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just throwing that out there. Sharon, next
Yeah.
question, please.
Ms. Magnus, please.
Okay, now that I'm unmuted, I have a couple of questions, not just one. You talked about the key for security of the locks on tires and things like that, not putting it in the glove box, and I understand that. Is a better place to put it in with the spare tire, like underneath where the spare tire is, because there's, yeah, right now I'm the only one who drives my car, but when some people have multiple drivers, the multiple drivers have to have access to that key if they get a flat tire, for instance.
Carol, you can put that key wherever you like. All right. It's your decision. It's your vehicle. The only thing I ask is don't put it where the suspect can get it quickly.
Okay,
So, all right.
Okay.
You can have you have enough time for one more question, and we're going to move on to the next person.
okay, well, you talked about, registering for, or maybe it wasn't talked about, it was mentioned in the chat room, if you're gonna be on vacation, of having police checks for the vehicle, for your home. That way, you'll know what's going on. But I seem to remember at one point in time, the county police offered a security check period of your premise. Not that you were going away, but to come out and take a look and make suggestions about what people could do or add to their house. Is that
So-
still available?
So that's a good question. So we do offer what we call a security survey, where a member of our community policing officers will come out and actually do a survey of your house and make recommendations. All right. Most of the time, lights, video, the 3.5-inch screws on your doors, not blocking the windows with bushes. But yes, we still offer that. So that's still available.
Okay, thank you.
But most importantly, as a resident of the city of College Park, and because you have the College Park contract program, if you forward the information to Bob and Sharon, there's a form, which I believe is on the city website, and tell us that you're going out of town, that when you're coming back, who may be the point of contact for your house, if anybody's going to be stopping by, picking up your mail, whatever, the contract officers would go by your house and make sure your house is still secured during that time frame that you're away. So there's your two good options right there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Ritzel has put the link for that form. The vacation premise check is in the chat, and I will share it again with anyone who needs it. Next up is Ms. Perez, please.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Major Coletti, thank you so much for this public safety forum. Two things. I wanted to be provided an update with the approximately 30 vandalism that have been in the last couple of weeks in my neighborhood here in North Hollywood. And secondly, since we have mayor and council present, I would like to suggest and recommend that throughout the city of College Park, we really consider and putting better lighting on these streets. At the so for instance, I'm a corner, so that lighting is, even though I have cameras and they're infrared, with better lighting, you would get a better visibility of any, situation or crime, happening or so forth. So something for the city to really, so that may be something for Bob and his team to really survey and take a look at. But I just know from where I live, just walking on the back end to the Greenbelt Metro Station, it's not well lit. So
That's an excellent suggestion about the lighting.
absolutely.
There's a lot of neighborhoods in College Park that the lighting is dim. It's not as bright as it could be, but I know there's a cost to everything. And it's something that I'm sure the mayor and the council and city staff will take into account, and maybe they can start some type of program. I'll let them talk about it, but I do agree with lighting. There's a lot of places that it is very dark. Let me go back to the vandalisms and the theft from autos.
Mhm.
So we've had a total of 55 theft from autos and vandalisms. The vandalisms are, I'm sure they went to break into your car, smashed out the window, didn't get anything, so it's a vandalism. But we knew their intent was to probably steal whatever they wanted to steal or thought it was in the vehicle. So on October 17th, we had our first theft from a vehicle, and that was on October 17th. So we had a total of 55 since November 28th. On November 17th, we had 20 in one night. Now, I've heard people say, oh, you couldn't catch them? Well, just think about this. They walk up and down your streets in the middle of the night. Sometimes they're driving, or they'll park a car and walk a block and try every car door. And the ones that open up, they steal whatever they can. If they see something in a car, someone will break out the windows. So it's a crime of opportunity, and they're very quick about it. As of today, we have no leads on who the suspects are. We have one or two video footages that are very poor. The images are very poor and we can't recognize anything. So as I talked about earlier, I spoke about good quality surveillance cameras at your house that can actually help us out. A lot of times the suspects will come into a neighborhood. They will be driving a vehicle that is stolen or carjacked, or the tags don't belong on the vehicle. So a lot of times we can try to look at some of the license plate readers that we have to try to determine which vehicles are leaving at a certain hour. And we find out that a car came through there that was stolen or reported stolen, has bad tags. So as of right now, we don't have any good leads to apprehend, and I'm sure it's more than one person. I'm sure it's probably more than 4 or 5 that came down to Hollywood and caused this nonsense. So once we identified that we had a string going on in the Hollywood neighborhood, I personally assigned one contract officer and on the overnight shift to stay in Hollywood. Sometimes, some nights, there's 2 officers. Since we've done that, we have not, I'm sorry, we had 1 theft from auto since then, and it happened to be in the address on the other side of the Beltway, and I'm trying to think of the name of the road over there. They broke into a van, a work van. And-
Niagara.
Yeah.
Niagara.
I believe so. I believe that might have been it.
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, that's the only one we've had since I started assigning contract officers to be in that Hollywood neighborhood. So that's good news. That tells me they're seeing them and they went somewhere else to commit their crimes. Another thing I asked, and I think Bob can talk about this, is that the city has 2 VMS boards. They're variable message boards. The ones you see on the highway, they say road closed, turn left. I asked Bob to put the city boards, one on Edgewood Road by the Parkway, and the other one on Rhode Island Avenue over by Lackawanna. And the message would say something to the effect of, see something, say something, lock your vehicles, remove of valuables. Right? I'm not sure if they're in place yet. I did ask for that last week.
No, that's not in place.
It's not in place?
No.
So your request was forwarded to the city manager and he directed Public Works to place those message boards. They were supposed to have gone up today. Or
They
tomorrow.
are up. They are up. At least at Rhode Island, I passed one.
Okay.
Okay, so that's something that's good for residents to just sort of put a reminder out there. But it's also puts a mental note in the bad guys that, hey, they're on to us. It's just something, it's just another tool we can do. Does it work every time? No, it doesn't work every time. Does it work sometime? Yes, it works sometime. So this is what we can do.
Major Coletti, we have quite a few more hands raised. Ms. McDonald would be next. And then we have our council members and mayor in the queue as well.
Okay, hello. First, I want to thank everyone who really helped actively to try to find a suspect who had shot and killed my cat. We unfortunately there was nothing that showed up on the videos, but going forward, I'd like to ask about with the carjacking. I think a lot of us are very nervous about that, and I wanted to ask. If you have a child or elder person, a dog in the car and they come and want to take your car, should you let them know that I have, somebody in the back? Or, I transport my elderly mother in the back and it makes me nervous also. Things like, I mean, you let them know that there's a child or elderly person. We hear these stories where car is carjacked and this poor kid is inside of it. I just want to know what's recommended.
Yes, you can always tell them, you can have my car. Let me get my mother out of the car. Let me get my son out of the car. You
Mhm.
can tell them that. Whether they listen to you, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Gotta remember, just like you as a victim may panic,
Mhm.
you're not used to dealing with this level of stress. Same thing with these suspects.
Mhm.
Now, all of a sudden, they thought they're getting a car from you, and now all of a sudden, there's a baby in the back seat.
Mhm.
So the best thing you can do is, I just want to get my kid out of the car. I just want to get my grandmother out of the car, whoever.
Okay.
You can have my car. I
Mhm.
just want them out. All right. That's the best we can do.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
I'll,
welcome.
I'll defer to other folks on other things. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilmember Hernandez.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Major Galletti, for putting this together and in response to not only the holidays, but the three kind of just incidents that happened. And thanks for putting some folks up in North College Park. I wish we didn't have to get to that point where, that consistent monitoring is there, but it's good that it's an option to put out there. I was wondering for the residents here and for myself too, is there a centralized location to find all the programs that you mentioned throughout the call here today? You talked about some programs that are unique to the contract agreement with College Park, but also some in the county. It'd be great to see if we could at least collect those and then send those out to the residents.
So I think the programs that are available to residents through the contract program are online. Bob, maybe Bob or Sharon, maybe you could let me know if I'm right or wrong. I believe they are online when we talk about the form when you're going out of town.
We have a public safety page and most of the programs are listed, and if not, we will forward any missing information to you.
So you brought up a good point. Last night I talked to the city manager. These flyers came out of a book that we produce here at Hyattsville. It's the only one in the county. It's a crime prevention manual. I asked the city manager if the city would be interested in printing up copies of this manual to pass out to every resident. He agreed. It's a good starting point for people. I always say most of the crime prevention is common sense. And I probably say that just because I'm used to doing it or recommending certain things my whole life, where a lot of people aren't, never had a need to worry about somebody breaking into the car or breaking into their house. And it's reality today. So these tips they're not really common sense. It's the first time somebody's hearing about it. And I want to get this message out. So this is why we produced this manual. It's actually a very good manual. And so the city manager, Mr. Young, he agreed to it. And this is something that we're going to work on in the next few weeks to try to get this going. And so I'm glad you said that, because I just put a bug in my head. Like, yeah, we just talked about it last night.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Kabir is next.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be brief. So I'm going to talk about the street lights. Just that everyone knows, the city, even though the street lights on the city property, city's right of ways, but the city does not actually maintain the street lights. There's a Pepco maintains the street lights, but we have a good relationship with them, and we are actually working on some of the programs. And I'll talk very briefly. First of all, Todd has already posted the link. How can he report any street light on our streets? That is a very nice website, very visual, map-based website. You can go and report any light is out or dimming or something like that. So that's one thing we should be always doing. Let's save that somewhere on the computer. The other thing is, if you see the street lights need to be maybe old, or the casing of the lights are kind of not kind of blocking the lights, they need to be cleaned or something like that. We can make a request to the Pepco, and they can actually come and do that. The other thing is the city has a program to add additional lights on the block, on the street block. For example, you have probably noticed most of our city streets, they have lights. They don't have lights on every pole. They have lights on alternate poles. So you have lights, and then the next pole doesn't have light, and the next pole has a light. But the city can make a request, and city will be paying for it on behalf of your request, to add additional light between the two existing pole lights. The city has a every budget, fiscal year budget, we set aside a certain number of dollars to add these additional lights. So you can make a request. You can ask our public works director or your city council members or me to make that request, and we can make that happen. It normally takes up to 6 months, because Pepco is sometimes slow, unfortunately, because they get so many requests, but it'll happen. Based on my experience, I have made many of these requests happening. And finally, city has taken another project of adding, or rather replacing, the very aged old sodium yellow lights by brighter and energy efficient LED lights. And at this point, 3 city streets have been, at least 2 actually, streets are the sodium lights been replaced. The one is in South College Park, one in North College Park on 53rd Avenue. And if you have noticed, in 53rd Avenue, each and every pole now has LED and bright lights. And we have another project going on Edmonston Road in the East College Park that will be having LED lights as well. But this will take some time. We are taking the streets which have more, or the rather most pedestrian traffic. The city engineer has been working on that list, and he has been always evaluating which streets will go next. So every year we'll be doing that, replacing the lights with the LED lights. But in parallel, we are also looking into a separate project, and this is in the very earliest stage, to replace kind of all of the city street sodium lights by LED lights. There are some hurdles because of the way the Pepco works and the Public Services Commission works, but I don't want to get into detail, but that's also, we have been looking into it, because these are definitely, these can definitely help, as our Lisa is mentioning, asking before, that we should be considering. So we are on top of it. We're not actually ignoring it. So I'll stop there. I just thought that I should throw these out. Thank you.
So, Mr.
Thank you.
Mayor, you brought up a really good point, and I've told Bob about some lights that were out and they were fixed. I think everybody has to do their part to report lights that are out. And it's no secret, I live in Bowie. Bowie has a great program where I go on their website. I tell them where the lights are out, and there's a Baltimore Gas Electric company truck, or I think they use a different company now. They used to use BG&E. I think it's a different company. They come out and replace the light bulbs like within 24 hours. But you have to have the information of where the pole is, the closest address. But it's great information. It's a great service. We all get lazy. We see it. We don't report it. And it's an easy process. So, Mr. Mayor, that's good information for everybody to have. So thank you. Sharon, next question.
And
I'm sorry, Bob.
just to add to that, the city webpage now has a College Park Connect, a link that you can request city services, and that would be the place to most efficiently report lights that are out. And then our Public Works Department would follow up and they would follow up with Pepco as needed. So that's on the city webpage. It's relatively new software that is more efficient than the old software was, and so please use that, and whenever you see something like that that needs repair.
Thank you. I'll post a link shortly. Councilmember Esters.
Yes, thank you. Both the Mayor Kabir and Major Coletti mentioned the things that I wanted to mention as far as the lighting is concerned. And for those, there are a variety of ways to report outages or issues. There are also numbers on each of the streetlight poles, and you can contact Pepco directly to provide that information or utilize some of the methods that have been shared already, so I won't repeat that. The other thing I wanted to ask Major Coletti to talk about and to stress is the importance of reporting issues that arise in real time, because the longer you wait to call or report, the more challenges that are associated with trying to address those issues. So Major Coletti, can you speak to that?
So I'm going to give you the gold star of the night. I always talk about it and I didn't. So thank you very much. So one of the items I stress with Bob is if you're a victim or a witness to a crime, you need to dial 911 and have a police officer come to your house. He can get the information that's needed. So myself and my executive team here, we look at crime almost daily, and I'll tell you how we look at crime, but don't send a email to your council person, to the mayor, or 3 days later you're walking around, or the council or the elected officials walking around, and you tell them about something. Time has passed. That information is old news and it won't help us. There was an individual that had actually witnessed a crime, but he didn't have a cell phone, didn't go home and call the police. It doesn't help us, because a little bit of information like, hey, they're driving a white truck. At 3 o'clock in the morning, we see a white truck near Hollywood. Oh, we're going to stop them because somebody just told us that they're driving a white truck. We have probable cause to stop them. But if you tell me 3 days later, that's no good information to me. They're going to switch their cars up. They always do. They hold on to them for a day or two, a week, but they always switch their cars up. So it's so important, please, if it's about a crime in progress, or a witness, please call the police. There's always a delay. Bob will send me an email. I'm not going to answer it right away. Then I have to take my time out to get somebody to come to the house. And there's always, guess what? That person's not available. They don't answer the phone. Now we're paying phone tag. But general questions like, you notice people going through a stop sign, by all means, tell them about it, and they can tell us and we can set up enforcement. But when it gets down to the crimes, please just always call the police. If you want to tell somebody, an elected official later on, by all means do that, but call us. Let the officer come out or the investigator so we can get the information. They know what questions to ask, and it'll help us try to solve some of these crimes. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Jeffa or Jeff A.
It's actually Jeff A. I don't know why.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why it came up as Jeff. Hey, Major Coletti, I'm the one that talked to you on the phone about walking this dog late at night.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
I just wanted to let everybody know that, yeah, I walk my dog around the neighborhood between 11 and 1 o'clock in the morning, all around the neighborhoods. Okay. I don't know if anybody's ever seen me out there. My dog has a real bright green LED collar on, you know, and I'm usually in like a high visibility jacket or something. anyhow, there has been, since we have talked, I can verify that yes, there has been at least one, and a lot of nights, 2 police officers that are now running all around the neighborhoods. And I do not see hardly any of these people that used to be cruising around the neighborhoods and everything, because, you know, as I explained to Major Coletti before, that, yeah, some of these cars, yeah, you see them cruising around, but you don't know if they're people that live in the area or not. So, but we have had a lot more police presence in the North Hollywood area since, you know, probably in the last week or so, I would say. It's been about that.
So Jeff, thank you. And I do appreciate the conversation that you and I had. We spoke for, I don't know, 30 minutes, and your wealth of knowledge. And maybe the mayor will buy you a cell phone so that you can carry. So if they steal from you, it's not your cell phone. But anyway, Jeff, I really want to thank you for the conversation that we had. And I thank you for jumping online tonight.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're
Did
welcome.
Did you want to raise your other question? I'm sorry, before I move to Mr. Ritzel.
Well, oh, you mean the other question about the police call boxes?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what Fazul, you know, we've got the one that's down at Lackawanna and 53rd. Okay. Is there any way to get more of those call boxes like throughout the neighborhoods? Because just that one right there by the metro station, you know.
I say Bob wants to talk. He actually knows
Sure.
the history
Sure.
behind.
There's only a half a dozen of those emergency reporting telephones. And they can be used, you know, if there's someone injured or sick, to call for the fire department or anything. Those, if you travel around and look in all the major cities across the country, police call boxes and fire call boxes have all been removed. That's because pretty much everyone is carrying a cell phone these days. And so there is no plan to add any more of those emergency reporting telephones around the city at this time.
See, that was my question, because like I explained to Major Coletti, is that I don't carry my cell phone when I'm out at night. I don't even wear my wedding ring, because I don't want people coming up and stealing anything off me. I don't want to have anything that they say, give me what you got. And I'm like, I got nothing. You know, I've got nothing on me, period. So.
Oh, well, if you careful, if you watch the news, they might steal your dog. That's happened.
They would have a hard time stealing my dog. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me on that.
But no, there's no plan at this time to add any more telephones, emergency telephones around.
Okay, I was just wondering about that.
Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. Mr. Ritzel?
Thank you. Hi, Major Coletti. Kind of the past couple of years on one of these community safety meetings, the Prince George's Police demoed a aerial surveillance system using infrared camera to detect potential thieves casing cars in neighborhoods, and in the middle of the night. I'm just wondering, are you all still using that system? Is that aerial surveillance system something you might envision using in our area?
So Todd, that's a good question. And we did apprehend some people in Hollywood using our helicopter unit at night. Okay. Unfortunately, and it's probably one of the best programs in the police department, one of the best, we only have 2 helicopter pilots. There's a shortage of helicopter pilots. We had half of our helicopter pilots are been trained by the military. We had a young officer, probably had 12, 14 years on, was trained in the military to be a pilot, came here, was a police officer, was a great pilot, and he left the department early, and now he's flying for Southwest Airlines, probably making 5 times what he made as a policeman. There's a shortage of pilots. We're in the process of trying to hire one more pilot. But yes, we still use them, but we don't use them as much as I wish we could, just because of the shortage of the pilots. So great question, Todd. You know, I was in charge of it for a while, of the Special Operations Division, and that program, the amount of work those guys do is incredible. They discover so much crime. Anyway, there's a shortage of pilots. I'll leave it alone.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Ms. McDonald has one more question.
Well, it was, I don't know if Corporal Nunez, you can help with this or not. I wanted to see in some ways here in the Berwyn area where I live, I was part of a project I spearheaded with the help of the chief of police, Mitchell on campus when I was teaching. Here in Berwyn, we had so much crime, cars constantly being broken into and what have you, that we really created a great kind of task force with the university. That's when they kind of took over this district also. And Corporal Nunez, you may have contrary information, but the crime has been very minimal here. And we, of course, have all noticed it went to Hollywood. And I don't know if there are any things that worked here to minimize that crime that would be helpful for Hollywood, because I know what it's like to live someplace that you really are looking every night, outside. Jeff, I used to patrol with my German Shepherd between 11 and 2 in the morning. This is a German Shepherd that everybody feared, believe me, and because she was a failed, canine. But the police at that moment actually gave me their number. I work with the police. I don't know what's legal, illegal about that, but we actually had unmarked cars and myself as I'm patrolling at the time. And that really helped them, because there's nothing better than on the ground stuff going on. And I don't know if that would be, since you've got somebody who obviously has a protection dog. The other thing I want to mention, whoever said he doesn't walk with his cell phone, please get a cheap burner phone if you have to. You could be knocked down, you could fall, whatever. You need a way to have something on you for emergency help. And so anyway, I just wanted to I feel bad for people in Hollywood, because I know what it's like to, there's people, I go to the Hollywood dog park, and, some of the Latina ladies, because I'm Latina, will speak to me, man, they're like, they're coming in through the basement, we call someone, our cars, we can't, trust, and it's really scary for people there. So that's all I wanted to say. If there's something we can help from here, or something we learned, because I don't know, Letitra and Susan, what you think, or if you lived here back in the dark days, 2008, 9, 10, when I did, it was bad, so, but it's so much better. It's great, really. That's all. I don't know if Corporal Nunez is still there for anybody.
So I'll make a quick comment. I believe we only have one remaining neighborhood in the city that has a very active neighborhood watch program in College Park Woods. But we've had neighborhoods who have formed a neighborhood watch program for a time. And I mean, we used to tell people, if you're, as you were doing, if you're out walking your dog and have a phone in your pocket, you're neighborhood watch. As long as you call 911 and report what you see, any suspicious activity. That's very helpful. If everyone were doing that, or even folks who are housebound, who sit on their porch or look out the window and see something suspicious, just call 911 right away. You can send your council member and the mayor and myself emails after you've called 911. Please, please, please. And again, everybody can, you don't need a formal neighborhood watch to do that. You can just see something, say something, as the saying goes.
Ms. Magnus, and I think that's it for hands up.
Okay. Just a general comment. Major Clutty, you mentioned about people not knowing what their car tag is when they have a problem. I find the easiest way to handle that is to take a picture of your registration card. Everybody has their cell phones have has a camera. Now, the question I have is this Maryland watch. Is that available on the website rather than having to go through a specific person to get on that or to get more information?
The state watch program you're referring to with the stickers,
No.
or just the house watch for
No,
vac-
the state one, the one that Major Coletti mentioned as Maryland Watch.
You're talking about Watch Your Car program?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I believe, I don't have the information right in front of me, but we can get that information to you.
okay, thank you.
So I think we're getting close to a closing time. But I spoke about this, and I think this might be good information for some of the elected officials, just to understand how we deal with crime, how we look at crime at the division level. So what we do here is every Monday, I meet with my two captains, my investigative lieutenant, and my two investigative sergeants. And we discuss violent crime over the weekend. We look at crime. We try to see which ones are connected. Last Friday, we had 9 armed robberies. Out of those 9, 3 of them are connected. So that means 6 of them are separate suspects. That's a high number. We had a homicide on Tuesday night on New Hampshire Avenue. It stems from a robbery. Unfortunate, but it stems from a citizen armed robbery, or just our armed robbery. I'll put it that way. So every Monday we look at crime. Every Wednesday, I meet with my investigative section, my community policing officers, my special assignment team, my patrol shift that's working that day work shift, and we discuss crime over the last 7 days. And then we look at where we're going to deploy our personnel for the next week. Starting tonight, I made it mandatory that I'm holding over 3 day work units, and they're going to be working till 10:30 at night. So the officers that were working day work today, 3 of them on that shift will be held over, and they're going to be working. They're working tonight, right now, because I need to add extra officers on the street based on the crime that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. I just want to throw some numbers out to you real quickly about theft from autos to understand what's going on in Division I and College Park. In Division I, last year at this time, we had 1,453 vehicles broken into. Today, this year, 1,462. We're up 1% in theft from autos. And Prince George's County, the county's up 11%. So in the county, last year was 5,530. Today is 6,116. So Hyattsville is doing a whole lot better, or let me say Division I. We are doing a whole lot better compared to other divisions in the county. And that's because we look at crime on a weekly basis and we move our personnel around. Unfortunate, 55 is a large number over a 3 or 4 week period, but it's not unusual. It does happen. We've had problems in some of the garages along the Baltimore Avenue corridor over the last couple of years. Same thing happens. They'll go in there and break into 10 or 12 vehicles. It does happen, and but we do try to monitor what's going on. Would you be interested just to hear any numbers about robberies? Anybody? Okay. So if you would ask me at the beginning of the year, we were doing very good with robberies. We were probably doing better than anybody else in the county. And unfortunately, over the last 6 weeks, we took a turn for the worse and all my numbers are way up. So when you look at commercial armed robberies, so far this year, we've had 46 compared to 41 last year. So we're up 12%. Residential armed robberies. Last year we had 5. This year we've had 1. So we're down 80%. Citizen armed robberies. Last year at this time we had 150. This year we have 183. And that's I believe that's the largest number than any other division within the county. So we're up 22% in armed robberies, or citizen armed robberies.
Is this the city or district too? Sorry, what?
I'm sorry?
What your domain you're talking about is the city or the district one?
Division 1, Hyattsville Station, Division 1. It's the whole division.
Okay.
Carjackings. Last year we had 31 at this time. This year we had 73. We were up 135% in carjackings. We made a carjacking arrest yesterday on Cooper's Lane. All 3 suspects are juveniles. They've been arrested numerous times for carjackings. I believe one of them may have had an ankle bracelet on, but this is what we're dealing with. All right. Several carjackings they've been involved in, and we believe they're involved in a couple of ours, Washington, D.C., and I think they're tied into some of our citizen armed robberies. So that just gives you an idea about Division 1, what we're seeing. I can talk about any other crime. I don't want to waste people's time. But I just want to assure everyone, first of all, I will say this, the city is very safe. I know a lot of times perception is reality to people, but the city is very safe when it comes to crime. Yes, we had a spree of people breaking into cars. But when I look at other neighborhoods, other communities within Division 1, the city is nowhere near the amount of crime that these other neighborhoods are experiencing. So I give a lot of credit to, every email we get from the elected officials, to Bob, Sharon, the contract officers, all that plays a role. It's a big picture. It's not just one person, but it all plays a role. So I think that's what's keeping our crime down. But we're down 350 officers for Prince George's County. I'll give you one example of one municipality who I got a lot of respect for. The town of Cheverly used to have a police department that was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have 7 patrol officers. They only work from 12 in the afternoon, till 12 midnight. Guess who covers the city when they're off? Officers from Division 1. Guess whose investigators investigate every crime in that city? Officers from Division 1, or investigators. Every municipality is taking a hit, just like the county police force, right? And what happens is we get a bigger hit at Division 1 because we have more municipalities than any other division. So we're picking up the slack for everybody else. I'm sure as time goes on, hopefully we can hire more officers and, it'd be good for everybody. But I just like to lay the facts out there, some of the things that we're experiencing, and just so you have a knowledge of what's really going on. So does anybody have any questions for me? So tomorrow,
Yeah, Major.
Jeff,
Can
go
I
ahead.
ask one quick question?
Sure.
Yeah, sorry about that. Is there anything like a police auxiliary unit here? I mean, I grew up in Ohio, but of course I've been here for many, many years. I mean, I've been in College Park since '88. So where I grew up at, there was an actual police auxiliary unit. And basically what they did was they carried radios that they could contact people. And that's why I was just wondering, is there anything similar to that in the area?
So Jeff, that's a great question. We do not have that. I know maybe a year ago, there was some talk about it. We do not have it. The University of Maryland Police Department has it, but we do not. And that's something that I may bring up tomorrow. One thing I was going to tell you, every Thursday, every commander has to report to headquarters at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we have a county-wide crime meeting, and we discuss all our crimes, and it's what they used to call CompStat back in New York City. They're the ones that started this program. We kind of piggybacked on them. Every police agency does it now. So every Thursday at 10 o'clock, that's what we do. And that's why Thursdays is not a good day for me, because I'm at headquarters. But anyway, good question, Jeff. We don't have it. Any other questions?
No, I just want to mention also that I was on the San Jose Anti-Gang Task Force as a citizen member, where, again, it was a lot of being trained, walking around, reporting. This was back late 80s, early 90s, when it was the bad days in East San Jose. But I'm really in support of those things, because the police departments, you're slammed, your shortages everywhere, and the crime's up. And there are probably people who are ready to step up, like Jeff, myself, to see where we can help, fill in some of the gaps in terms of what we can provide. So that's all.
So no, you're 100% right, and every little bit helps. We do have the Citizens Police Academy. That's a great tool for anybody that's interested in it. But I just want to say one thing out there. What we noticed in the last almost 2 weeks, that our victims and almost over 90% of our citizen armed robberies have been Hispanics. We believe that we had a problem years ago where people will target the Hispanics on Friday when they collect their paychecks. They go to a check cashing store, liquor store, cash their checks, and they have large sums of money. And I think the word got out. We have not had this problem in over a year since I've been here, but for some reason it started last Friday. And we think that there's a group of people that are targeting the Hispanic population in Langley Park. And that's why I have a lot of resources working this Friday. So if they do come back, we're going to hopefully be out there and we can make some arrests. But for some reason, we have not had a problem in over a year on a Friday. Friday is not our worst day. Our worst day for crime, and I'll tell everybody this, our worst day for violent crime in Division I is Sunday, followed by Monday, followed by Tuesday, and then Thursday. Now, everybody thinks, oh, it's going to be Friday, Saturday. Our worst day is Sunday. So we have additional overtime units working on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. And I hate to do it to the officers near the holidays, but I mandated that 3 officers will be held every shift on the day work shift so that we can try to combat some of these crimes. I mandated that we have at least 1 contract officer in Hollywood during the late shift. So everything seems to be working. And just like anything else, if something doesn't work, we make adjustments and we try something different. But right now, I think everything's working. And I think I've talked enough, but I just want to thank the mayor for putting this together. I saw 18 people online in the beginning. A lot of people dropped off. I think that's not a bad turnout. So I just want to thank you for putting it together. It was a great idea. And hopefully I put some ease to some people that, hey, it's not as bad as it appears. You are safe, and we're doing anything possible to try to combat some of these issues. So I'm tired of talking unless somebody has something else. Bob, Sharon, somebody?
No, thank you, Major. I think that's a wrap. If anybody has any further questions, you can
Councilmember Esters
send
does
us
have one
email.
more.
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to thank Major Coletti for making himself so accessible, and he does so all the time. So thank you for that.
So thank you. And just so you know, you might saw me drinking soda tonight. I don't drink soda. I had 2 sodas tonight, so I'm probably wired up. So anyway, so hey, so good things came out of this. And as much as I hate going to meetings all the time, but maybe this is something that we can maybe do every 6 months or something to put people at ease or just talk about crime in general. I know we do it every quarter, Bob, but tonight you got a better turnout. A lot of new people like Jeff, who I just met. Todd was on earlier, Victoria. I mean, so maybe, we're starting something, adding some more people instead of the same people. And Carol, you had 2 good questions. I definitely appreciate that. I actually forgot about it. But thank you for bringing it up. And so anyway, it was good input from everybody.
I might also say this every 6 months idea is kind of interesting because if we look 6 months from now, it'll be right before summer break when a lot of people are going on vacation, and it might be another good time to bring a lot of these ideas up again.
So Susan, great point. And I did ask Bob to move the VMS boards, and Bob, it's like a week when all the students leave. That's when we have a lot of burglaries in Old Town. So we're trying to prevent that. I did talk to Danielle, what's her last name?
Claros.
Yes. If the University of Maryland could just put out some type of word to all the residents that live, or residents, to all the students that live off the university property, to take their valuables with them and make sure they lock their houses up. We have seen it, 1 or 2 incidents where we know somebody is targeting all the doors in Old Town. We got a good photograph of him, and we actually got a warrant for his arrest right now. We haven't located him yet, but the charges are probably not the greatest. He'll be out quick. If he is, once he picked up, he'll be right back out. And it's just funny how he started doing this as he's getting closer to the winter break. So anyway, we look at stuff like that when we talk about crime all the time. And I'm just trying to think what else. If I'm missing anything.
I just wonder about gender in terms of the victims. Are the victims mostly men, women? I mean, or does it vary by crime? The gender of the victims. For like armed robbery, is it mostly men, women, or rough distribution of both? Or
I would say that most of the time it's men, but that's not true. It's men, women, old, young. And the suspects, it used to be nighttime, people came out and did crimes. They're doing carjackings at 8:30 in the morning, 10:30 in the morning. They're doing robberies in those hours. So I can't, like, in the old days, I would beef up the nighttime. It's 24 hours a day now. Of course, more of it happens during the nightness, darkness, but it does happen a lot during the daytime. And a lot of the suspects are young and they have weapons. All right. So the 3 that I think it was 3 yesterday. There's so many times we're catching people, but the ones they caught yesterday have done prior carjackings, armed carjackings, and they're still out. So that tells you something that we're up against. So anyway, unless the mayor or anybody else has anything, council members, Bob.
I just want to thank everyone and thank you, Major Clarity, with the wealth of information. You always do that. Thank you so much for coming up and helping us, helping the community.
Listen, that's what it's all about. And everybody pitched in. It was great. And I'm glad to see that we have 4 elected officials on the Zoom tonight, and Bob, I'll give you the privilege of closing it out.
Thank you. Thank you for this. And again, if anybody has any afterthoughts, if you wake up in the middle of the night with a question, send us an email and we'll get an answer to you.
Bob, real quickly, I have, and I'm sorry I didn't say this earlier. I have 20 clubs that I can pass out. I would like to pass that to somebody. You have to live in the county, but if you have a Kia or a Hyundai, you'll get the first pick because those are the cars that are targeted a lot. But if anybody also would like to have one, if you guys could let me know by Bob, maybe Monday, and we can make arrangements to get them to whoever needs one. They just have to be able to show trust that either they can show the city that they live in the county, or they show the officer if we're going to drop them off to his house. I'm not sure how we can work it out, but
Sure.
maybe we make we can talk about it later, Bob. Best way
Okay.
to get it. I have 20 of them. Listen, we just ordered 250 of them. That's for my whole division. I don't know when they're coming in. They don't always come in on time. But I do have 20 set aside, and I would like to get them out to the residents if they own those two type of vehicles first, Hollywood, and then after that, anybody.
Okay,
So
we can
I'm sorry.
work with-
I'm sorry for not putting that out earlier. It just slipped my mind.
Sure. And can we use Officers Loban and Nunez to distribute those?
Yes.
We'll take the requests and get them
Yes.
out to the cops officers, and they can check registration to make sure it's a city resident vehicle.
Yes.
Okay,
good.
anything else? Susan, is that a question?
Yes, I was just wondering if you wanted, like, is the city going to put something on the website that council members can direct residents' attention to, or how do you want to handle getting the word
Sure.
out on that?
We'll do that. We'll work through
Okay.
communications.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, last call. Okay, as they say, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here anymore. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob and
everybody.
Frizzle and
Yeah.
Mr. Coletti. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Yeah,
night.
good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sharon, the person behind the curtain.
Thank you and good night.
Yeah.